Are we here? Wow, I am so sorry. Okay, first of all, I've been playing with audio again today. Can you hear me? Somebody say something. Let me know if I'm on. Hello, hello. Can I hear me? Can you hear me? Ask your parole officer. Okay, we'll take that as hearable. My voice was fixed. And then today I was eating hot soup. Had a mouthful of hot soup, and my wife said something hilarious. And I inhaled and burned the snot out of my esophagus. So probably one of those 1 or 2 day things to heal. But I'm so sorry. I will never fix this voice thing. Hey, anyways, we're here, and you have found ADRAMADA, another Dave Rush Ask Me Anything digital alchemy. Come for the shirt, stay for the news and the project, and I will be your host, the aforementioned Dave Rush, also known as Commodore ADRAMADA, making you the proud, the brave ADRAMADA Armada. That calls for cheers, right? That's the cheers button. I don't know. Maybe that's coming through. So we're here because we love to talk tech, and got new tech to talk about today. Got some nice news. It's going to be this shirt. I know it's really kind of pale and fuzzed out, and I know that I'm buffering. Man, what a day. Okay, I'm back. If you are not watching this live, you would not know that we recorded this right now on Thursday, May 9th of 2024 at 7 p.m. Central Time, and we do that every Thursday. And so I welcome you with Eep, Op, Ork, yay! It's not just a show. We're all over the place and growing. So we got a Discord server, and we would like to grow that. There's no money in it. I'm not monetizing anything. We're just looking for fun people who want to talk tech. And so we got a Discord server, and I have just posted the invitation link to that. You can come on over. I hesitate to say this. You know what? So I won't, because that's just dumb. You can contact me there if you want. DM me or post it in one of the forums. If you would rather contact me through some other means like email, there's a couple of email addresses in the chat forum where I am accessible. ADRAMADA is also now, it's not ADRAMADA, I think it's me, DRushTX, or David Rush, I don't know. But I'm on X, and just been there a few weeks, and the presence is starting to grow. We're getting some fun stuff. Just today, I got some really fun stuff. And because I support Mastodon, I have a Mastodon account. Absolutely nothing has gone on since I started that account a month ago or so. But I am getting ready to do something fun to that. Something that I promised when I joined it. And I mentioned here that I will make a Mastodon server. Mastodon is a distributed social platform, so you can have your server and right here, and in other servers they will link your name and send messages to your server and vice versa. So it's all one big happy family, but the servers are spread out all over the place. So companies have their own servers. Some of them use it as their corporate communication tool. So we're there. These are all kinds of different ways that you might be crazy enough to communicate with us outside the bounds of this little enterprise. Let me see. Quick recap here. Last week we did a celebration of Star Wars Day. It was May 2nd. Star Wars Day was 2 days later, but it was fun. I loved Star Wars Day. We'll make it bigger and bigger every year. Anytime you want to do something Star Warsy, between now and next year's Star Wars, if you got pictures of you in costume or something cool going on Star Warsy, head on over to the Discord server and post it in I think it's the May the 4th channel. And next year, We'll take everything that's accumulated over the year and showcase it. What about this week, you ask? Well, I'm glad you asked. This week's project. Oh, we also did Telnet last week. So we looked to see if Telnet still has a place in 2024. And the answer, of course, is yes. It's limited. There is technical reasons and capabilities to use Telnet instead of SSH. And it can be a lot of fun for watching ASCII movies. This one's been around for a long, long, long time. All right, this week we are looking at a new operating system called Umbrel, as in umbrella. It's Umbrel OS is what it's actually called. All lowercase except the OS. And Umbrel is a home server. You can run it on a Raspberry Pi. You can run it on x86 or AMD hardware. You can run it in a virtual machine. You can run it on some Nano Intel products. And what is a home server? What do you do with a home server? Well, glad you asked. And about the halfway point of today's show, about 30 minutes past the hour, we will talk very specifically about it. And I have one installed. I'll tell you how to install it, and we'll show you what's in there. We'll take a tour. Last week, I did some news that Proton 9.0 is out on Steam by Valve. Proton is Wine. It's a specialized version of Wine to allow Steam games, some, to run on Linux distros. Now, there are Steam games that are Linux capable right now, ready to go. I run one every single day of my life. But you can't run the games that aren't designed to be that are designed to be on Windows in a Linux environment. So that's what Proton does. It's a shim that says, don't worry, I will pretend to be Windows and I will not emulate, but I'll translate, kind of, sort of. It's not perfect. It doesn't work for every game. I tried it for a particular game, and I had my doubts. Because I know the game makers here, they're wonderful people. They basically rewrote much of the game engine in order to accomplish what they wanted their game to do. Riven World is the game. The guys from, I don't know the name of the organization they used to create Riven World, but you will know them as the Snaju guys. And I was not surprised to discover, sadly, that it did not work. There is a list of absolutely, we know this stuff works and it's cool stuff, and you're on your own trying some of the other stuff, some of the other Windows games in there. Maybe they work, maybe they don't. So that's the only one that I've tried, and it didn't happen. So I will pick another one this week, and that's on the known good list, and we'll see how that works out. All right, that's enough of that. Well, let's see who's here and what you're doing and what you're thinking and what you're drinking. So we don't go there. We go here and then here. And holy Hannah, there's everybody. Okay. So Shia checked in. What? About 11 hours early, 10 and a half hours early. You go. I hadn't even set... I don't think I set the broadcast up by that time. I learned... Did I learn? I'm going to try something new on next week's show as far as setup goes. I think you can set up a show on YouTube, schedule it, but not have it up and ready to, when you go to the page, it won't say upcoming this show. Unless I choose to do that. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set it up so that it's all pre-configured in the background, and then all I got to do is go click, and hey, show starts in 9 hours, 10 hours, or whatever, and I don't have to do all that creative stuff early this morning while I also do the social media promotions and all that good stuff. Trisha Gray shows up an hour and a half before showtime. Tullowit turns up half an hour prior to. And here comes everybody about then. Wow, you guys. I was sitting here watching the people who were in within an hour, and sitting here waiting for this person to come and do paperwork. They had a window that was supposed to be 6 to 6:30 my time, which is a half an hour before showtime. So my wife took off knowing that I would handle everything, and it's 6:30, no arrival, 6:40, doing and configuring. Finally, of course, right as it's time to hit the go button, ding dong. So I feel really bad. I had to rush them out, but they missed the boot. P4 Easy. I know your real name, but I don't have your permission to talk about it here, so we'll do P4 Easy. You have been so busy. Guys, check out our Discord server and look at what P4 Easy has going on. He is turning into a Linux monster. And I assume, though I didn't ask you this specifically at the time, P4, you did a Proxmox install, and then you got an instance running under it. I presume that you did that on your Linux distro. You didn't do that on Windows. Let me know in the chat. And thanks for coming. You did announce. Hyper roll officer. Yeah, I don't know where the buffer came from, but I saw it too. I was in panic mode ever so briefly. It's like waiting for the cable guy. Yeah, exactly. We'll give you a window that is meaningless. All right, well, that's everybody in. It's a good initial turnout. Last week's show was a good show. It was a good topic. And it took a while for the usual numbers to build up. And I was saying, oh, do people not like this show? No, I do this because of my ego as well as my desire to share knowledge and information. You did Proxmox. Was an ISO downloaded, but did begin virtualizing Linux for some projects. Have in my back pocket. Okay, very good. Well, let's see here what I've got in me notes for the day. Oh, okay. A busy week. Busy week. Some accomplishments that I will share with you. I registered a new domain on for the VPS that I got from the nice guys at Dartnode, and I haven't begun to build the server yet. I just own the domain name, but I will be on that this week. Handsontrainer.com. Handsontrainer.com. We made the logo for it. This is, some of you are aware that I have a startup launching. Not surprisingly, it's called Hands On Trainer. We've made the corporate logo. We've started the incorporation process. Started to set up the VPS, and I will link the DNS name with that over the next few days. Administratively, man, a startup. I envy inventors who just sit around and invent. And I know they don't sit around, it's hard work. But then when you want to turn that into an enterprise, it's not information that everybody has. How to make a business, not how to run a business, that's another animal altogether. So I have started many businesses, and they have all been successful. But I've never really done one to the full incorporation level. They've always been at, thank you, Tullowit. Yes, I was going to get into that in just a second. So they've all been DBAs and, kind of run hobby-ish type of thing. This one is real and exciting. I worked the polls for 15 hours this past Saturday. The product is done. It's ready for beauty shots. There's always a little more on the manual to do. I got manual making supplies. I got a binding machine and spiral binders and the right kind of paper and the right kind of printer. I've had this wonderful printer here that I kept it at the office at my old company, and I brought it back here, and it's a great, great, great printer. But we've just used our little household printers here for years. But now it's time to break that guy out of the closet because he can do pro level work. All right, well, let's do some. Yes. So I was trying to pick a name registrar, and I looked at the one where I run ADRAMADA. And, okay, they're a name registrar, but I thought, these guys are a name registrar and a hosting service, and that it's a real hassle to do a registration and then change it to another host. And I didn't want to mess around with, who am I using? Namecheap. So I called the Dartnode guys and said, hey, are you guys registrars? No, we're not. We looked into it and decided against it. But here's who we use. We use Starship. Okay, so I went over to Starship, and I got a 10-year domain. That's as far out as they will let me register it. And in the end, it costs $10 a year or something like that. But what are the chances of handsontrainer.com being available? I was stunned. All right, what else is cooking over here? Thank you, Patricia Grace. Star, horn, more horns. Yeah, so I don't know what happens if you go to handsontraining.com, handsontrainer.com. Probably nothing. Unable to think because it's just a park domain. It's not even associated with a site yet. But we'll get there in very, very, very short order. All right, what else is happening here in my notes? Let's do news of the week. I got 5 news stories this week, and they're all newsworthy. How do you do that? You got to go over here, put the slideshow up, you put your headshot up, you hit the transition button, and there we go. We had bad weather here in Houston. You may or may not have heard. It was something. I did slides last week of some massive, amazing flooding. We aren't the only ones who had bad weather a week or so ago. The nice folks over in India at the world's largest floating solar plant, they got winds and wiped out. When you dive into these stories, they're so dramatic and they're so clickbaity. If you just read the headline that somebody wants to try and get you think, the world's largest floating solar power plant was destroyed. Well, there is more than a grain of truth to that, but there is a company, Narmada Hydroelectric Development Corp. In Madhya Pradesh that has a whole bunch of 88 to 100 megawatt floating installations in backwaters of the, I'll try to pronounce it, Omkareshwar Dam. And some of them are fully working, 88 to 100 megawatts. Some of them are under construction, and one of them, the single largest one of them, around 100 megawatts, is not fully or was not fully online. But the section that was online, and the other ones were just about ready to go, it got hit by we'll use the term large winds. I'll come back to that in a second. And they were uprooted, though they got damaged. Of course, the solar panels that they hit, they got damaged, and so that was shut down. So in toto, all of those individual subplants together constitute the world's largest floating solar power plant. But it's not a singular entity, and this was just kind of one element of it, so it was bad. All right, what were we thinking here? Reported winds, 50 kph. That's 30 miles an hour. I fly kites, big kites, in 30 miles an hour. So there's a problem there. You should not be able to uproot secured, albeit floating, solar cells, solar panels at 30 miles an hour, 50 kph. My opinion. Announcement from the nice folks at Raspberry Pi this week. A new feature or function built into Bookworm called Raspberry Pi Connect. Raspberry Pi Connect is an augment, a replacement for VNC. It's really kind of cool because it works like Zoom or any of these services where you don't have to do port forwarding on your router. It opens an outbound port with a server and registers your system if you choose to turn that on, and then you can access your Pi using that RPi Connect service from anywhere in the world, reaching into your home, again, without any port forwarding or anything like that. I haven't tested it yet. It's only available with Bookworm. They didn't port it back into Bullseye. And honestly, I have never run Bookworm yet. It has so many reported not working yet things that I use regularly on most of my Pis that I need to get it up and I need to experiment with it and learn it a little bit, but I haven't. So there you go. Only works on 64-bit systems running Bookworm. So it will run on a Pi 4 or a Pi 5, but you've got to use 64-bit Bookworm on it with a Wayland Windows server, which here's some interesting news. I kind of like this one. I like this story. I don't have an opinion on what it is. This is an article from TechSpot, techspot.com. Amazon did a trial run some months back of using AI voice to do text narration of publications. Then, kind of sneaky, without making a big fuss or announcement about it, they did it to 40,000 books, 40,000 audiobooks from Audible, their audio book release division. So there are now 40,000 new AI narrated audiobooks on Audible, and authors and listeners are very divided. And even authors are kind of divided. If you write a book, a text book, an ebook, a regular book, and you want it converted to audio in the traditional way, it's expensive. You have to hire a narrator, and there's studio time, and it takes a long time, many days, many weeks, depending on the nature of your book. AI narration is no studio. They're cranking out big books in 54 minutes, and it's very inexpensive relative to having traditional narration done for audiobooks. Listeners don't seem to mind. They like the voices that are being used, and there's not a lot of complaints about intonation or inflection or any of that stuff. But authors are split. You may recall a few months back there was a very long actors strike that said we want our jobs protected, that we don't want AI images of us or of our voices, and this is kind of where that same divide is coming from. So I thought that was interesting. I don't have an opinion on it. I don't have an audiobook or a book that I'm in the process of writing that I would consider turning into audio yet. Okay, anything else with that? Not everybody's giving it glowing reviews. One of the things that Amazon is doing, it says the AI audiobooks are clearly labeled as such. Some listeners have complained that there's no option to search or filter them out. I don't want, I'm looking for books on Amazon on audiobooks, but I don't want to see the AI narrated ones for whatever your motivation is. And at this time, that's not a filtering capability on Amazon. Enough complaints, and I'm sure they will fix that. There again, I have no opinion on this. I don't know enough to know what questions to ask or what side to fall on. But the military, in particular the U.S. Marines, is performing operational evaluations on rifle-equipped robotic dogs. You guys know the old joke about the angry dog that could talk, said, if I had a gun and an opposable thumb, you'd be a goner. Well, they've got guns now. There's just 2 of them going through operational exercises. Looking at this dog, it might have kind of a familiar shape to you. It might look like one of those dogs from Boston Dynamics. It's not. This is from Ghost Robotics, and they are mounting a gun type whose make and model I didn't recognize, obviously some military thing. So the dog doesn't have an opposable thumb. So what are we doing here? Well, there is AI built into the sighting system, so it can track particular targets, people, and it is not given autonomous ability to fire on them. It's relayed back to an operator who does or does not pull triggers. Gun systems based on the Onyx Sentry Remote Weapon System, RWS, features an AI-enabled digital imaging system which can automatically detect and track people, drones, or vehicles, reporting potential target to a remote human operator who could be located anywhere in the world. That's story 4 for... I think I did 6. Did I go find a 6th? Yes, I did. Okay, 2 more stories. I love this story. I've never had cold brew, so I can't speak to it. Do you like cold brew? And cold brew coffee? Because if you do, I did not know this about cold brew. Cold brew is not brewed coffee that is then chilled. It is brewed under very cold circumstances. And it takes 12 to 24 hours to cold brew coffee. So if you go into your favorite coffee shop and ordered cold brew, they ain't going to make it right then and there. They made it yesterday, and they will pour it and serve it. Of course, some coffee aficionados, they make their own coffee, including their own cold brew. Still, 12 to 24 hours. Well, who decided that that is just too dang long? The Aussies, all nice friends from down under, cold brew coffee, that's it. They blast the coffee grounds with ultrasonic waves during the brewing process, taking the process from 12 to 24 hours down to 3 minutes. How important. I've got to have my cold brew and I've got to have it fast. Research out of the University of Queensland did it. And I got 2 really cool things out of this story. Dr. Jacqueline Mora Nadolny said UQ scientists tested the brew, finding the taste would satisfy fans of cold brew who rave about its smoother, less acidic, and less bitter qualities. I think that means cold brew in general, not their particular product. I love the quote from her. Are you ready? Once again, Australia has new technology at our fingertips that moves us from traditional methods of coffee making to modern methods, giving consumers a new premium experience, Dr. Nadolny said. Our trained sensory panel tastings proved that we can achieve a taste profile very similar to either a traditional cold brew or an espresso in the time that it takes to brew a hot espresso. I love this woman. She waving the Aussie flag. What great technology leaders we are. We made fast cold brew. I support that, man. She's like a Texan. You know how we Texans are here. All right, last news story. This one just a personal favorite. You guys know I track this particular thing. The latest version of Mix, the free and open source both Windows and Linux DJ controller software has a new update, 2.4.1, improved support for a number of manufacturers' controllers from Denon, Pioneer, and Tractor. And it's a point release, and they've got some crash fixes. But, okay, that's that. Skull, if you were watching, I got it. I put my head back up in time. Let me go ahead over. Where are we at here on time? Oh, absolutely perfect. Things just come right up. Let me see what you guys had to talk about, and then we'll go and talk about project. And no slides for the project. It's talk and do. Yeah, that's a devil dog, all right. Without the bun. Salted caramel cold brew. Okay. I will try cold brew this week. Maybe even this weekend. This is a first weekend in a long time that I have no commitments. I think the son is coming home, but he has no interest in his parents or his parents' home other than, hey, my old bedroom is still there. I got a place to sleep. But there seems to be a young lady that has supplanted our affections. Cold Brew was the little-known sequel to Strange Brew. I love Strange Brew. The song and the movie. They horked our clothes! Crikey! Yes, it was a good Aussie accent. I can do it. Well, I seem to be back. It says excellent connection. I'm going to refresh this page. Stand by. All right, am I back? We will presume I am back. I wonder what the frame was. I couldn't see. I wiped everything out so quickly. All right, I'll find out when I watch it on replay tomorrow. Because, you know, I love watching my own shows so much. Okay, so let's talk project. And today's project is a new Linux operating system called Umbrel or umbrelOS.com. It's Umbrel OS. Their site is umbrel.com, which is unusual for Linux distros. They're usually org, right? It's FOSS. It's free and open source. So again, that usually puts them in the org category. But they do have products that they sell, hardware products. So I don't know what the rationale is, but there it is. But first off, I invited a spokesman or SME from the Umbrel organization just 3 days ago. It was short notice. I had hoped that they could devote somebody's half an hour of their time for the show, and they responded within a day. It says, nope, too busy. And so, okay, if you guys watch this show on the archive or if you're watching live right now and I get it wrong or I point out something that I believe is a shortcoming in your OS, you are not here to defend it. Sorry, guys. And you missed your chance. I get about 15,000 viewers a year, so you would have had a really nice audience for this. I'm not being mean to them. I'm sorry they couldn't make it. But I'm not going to do this again and invite them again as a retry. Sometimes guests don't work. I am working on a really amazing guest. Super server. Let's just go with that. Super server. I don't know if they've looked at my creds on the show and said, nah, not worth it for the engagement we get, but we'll see. All right. Anyways, so what is the Umbrel OS? It is a home server. You take any server, right? You don't do anything with them. You don't sit in front of a server and sit down at your keyboard and your mouse with the command line or, God forbid, a server with a graphical user interface and configure it, add apps to it, install web servers, configure things. they live someplace else. They live, if they're in your home, someplace without a mouse and keyboard and all that stuff, or in a closet. And of course, if we're talking commercial, they're in some host site somewhere, it's a cloud, and you access it exclusively from the command line. Well, and they do things, right? They sit there and they provide services, web services, file services, database services. Well, a new world has come up where we need more and more home services. Home services include things like video or audio streaming. They include things like, where am I going to store my password vault? And a number of other things I'll get through as we get into here. So this is what this server does. How about my IoT central hub, right? For my internet-controlled lights and thermostats and audio systems and whatever, all that stuff lives on a server. And that server is probably built into a computer that you run yourself as a daily driver in many, many cases. You know, well, some of us, we're a little more geeky than that. Many of us have servers in our homes. Well, this one is designed for those kinds of things, for residential type services, manage your smart TV. And it has to be designed, it was designed for people who don't know Linux command lines, who don't know the Linux windowed interface, and they're not going to install it. So the way this thing works, really cool, is it's like Drano. You plug it in, pour it in, and turn it on, and it works. You don't have to do anything to it or with it. Just leave it plugged in and connect it to your internet connection or your Wi-Fi connection. Now, you got to configure it, right? Well, it's got a built-in web server and an interactive web interface. So you take any other device in your house or on the net, your phone, your tablet, your laptop, notebook, traditional computer, anything that's got a browser on it, and you browse, if you're in your home, to umbrel.local. You can change the name of that server, of course. And you're managing your server. And I'm going to do that in just a couple of moments. So let's see, I gave you the website for Umbrel. It's umbrel.com. And use any browser. And then once you access it with your browser, you configure the services you want to use. You can add more services. You can delete services. How to install it. Let me put the link. You can go find this in just by going to umbrel.com, of course. Okay, right there. How to install Umbrel OS. And Umbrel OS, I think I mentioned this, it'll run on a Raspberry Pi, a 4 or a 5. It will run on Intel machines, AMD machines. I did not see if it's got Mac. It may or may not. But if you go to the installation link that I just sent you, umbrel.com/umbrelOS, you'll see a select option. And one says, if you're installing on Raspberry Pi, pick this page. If you're installing on anything else or everything else, pick this page. So we're going to go down the Raspberry Pi one just because they're quick and easy and nearby. They also have their own little nano Intel-based box that has Umbrel OS pre-installed on it. So if you've got a Raspberry Pi, you spent your $35, your $50 after everything, you download and install Umbrel OS for free. Cool, you're in for $50. If you buy their box, it's on their website, umbrel.com, and I think I saw it at $3.99, so a little pricey. But again, for people who aren't in this audience, who aren't that geeky, but want what services it offers, and we'll explore those in just a moment, that might be a good box. Okay, since we're using a Raspberry Pi, you can do it on a 4 gig model. 8 is better, they say. You can do everything on a micro SD. That's what I'm doing today. Bigger is better. But if you really want to run a home server, I have 2 home servers running. Raspberry Pi home servers. A lot of my Raspis are play with. If they got cooked, I wouldn't care. Those two servers, I care. So I take special steps, I back them up and things like that. A home server that this is intended to fill a void for, to fit a niche, that should be done with a very good amount of storage. And for that, in their installation steps, they're going to tell you at this point, plug in your storage media, your external USB, your external SSD. If you've got a Pi 5, you can use their NVMe, an adapter, and put a directly connected SSD and M2 SSD. You get the idea. So what do I need? I need a Pi 4 or 5, 4 gig or 8 gig power supply, network connection, optional USB or other storage device attached. You can install the whole OS on there, or you can install the OS on a micro SD. Doesn't have to be too big. I would recommend at least 32 gigs. You will need Balena Etcher. Download Balena Etcher from balena.org, or just look it up. And if you're going to burn your image to your micro SD card, then you're going to need a little micro SD burner. The process is simple and pretty quick. You can get this up and running in a grand total of 20 minutes. And the process goes something like this. You go to umbrel.com, you go to OS, and you go to install. They'll give you all the steps there. And if you're doing Raspberry Pi, at some point it's going to say, hey, click this link if you want to download an image for the Raspberry Pi 4, or click this link if you want to download for the Raspberry Pi 5. Once you get that downloaded and you've downloaded Balena Etcher, plug your micro SD card into your micro SD slot or burner on whatever computer you're using right now, and burn the image. And you can burn it as a zip file. Balena knows, okay, there's an image file, an ISO file in here. He'll find it and he'll dig it out. So it takes me about 6 or 7 minutes to burn the image, and then another 10 minutes to do the verification. It does that automatically. While that's done, I'm powering off my Raspberry Pi, connecting the internet to it and all that stuff, adding my external storage if I want to do that. The image is burned. It's verified. All I got to do is pop it into the Raspberry Pi, hit the power, and wait 5 minutes. That's its initial boot up, and it's going to do some magic behind the scenes. I did have a monitor hooked up to watch what happened. Not much to see. And after 5 minutes, it's ready. And all you got to do is any other device in your house with a browser, you just open up your browser and go to umbrel.local. And that's what I'm going to do in just veritable seconds. Let me see what I can show you here. You know, we're going to use OBS, and we're going to try and show Brave Browser, and you know how that works on this stupid thing. Okay, that looks good. Except when it doesn't. Oh, I do hit this thing sometimes. Okay, now we go here and we refresh just to make sure the system knows it's active. And back to OBS. I'm going to get on the OBS forums this week. Let me see if anybody else experiences this. And we haven't. I don't know why that's there, but I'm happy with it. So this is umbrel.com, their site. And if I go over here, all I'm going to do is just show you the critical ports here. I clicked on Umbrel OS, one of the tabs across the top. And there's lots of pretty pictures here that you can scroll through. If we click Install Now, this isn't going to install anything on your system, it's going to walk you, talk you through the steps. So if I do install on Raspberry Pi and I click this how to install button, it says get everything ready. You're going to need a storage device. That's optional. You're going to need a micro SD card, a power supply, and an Ethernet cable. And then here's where it stops and says, okay, download the image you need for the Pi 4 or for the Pi 5. So you'll click that button, you'll download the one you want. Next step, download Balena Etcher. They've got the link right to the site already. We've used Balena Etcher many times on these shows, so I'm not going to show you that. Plug your micro SD card into your card reader on the computer with Balena Etcher, run Balena Etcher, and select the image and select the device you're burning it to. It could be a thumb drive as well, flash drive. Hit flash. It burns it in 6 minutes. It verifies it. When it's all done, you pull it out. You plug it into your prepared Raspberry Pi. You power up your Pi. Oh, sorry. You add your additional storage capacity if you want. Plug in your internet connection. Could have done all that in advance. Hit the power button. Wait 5 minutes. And then open up a browser on some computer other than that one. And it's done. It's simple. It's easy. It's cakewalk. So after 5 minutes, you're going to log into it. You're going to open up your browser, and you're going to go to umbrel.local. And the first time you get there, it's going to say, hey, it's time to make a new account. This is something you only have to do once. So I'm going to hit the start button. And we'll give it an account name, DRushTX, and a password. I'll use my stock password that I don't say out loud. Confirm it. And create. No, I don't want to save it. You're all set. Umbrel is ready. Next. So if you look at this, it looks a little bit like Pop OS, except Pop OS has a traditional GUI that we had to access with VNC or something like that. So we're accessing this all totally on browser. These are the things that are installed and ready to go right now. Nextcloud, all you got to do is click it and configure it. So right Nextcloud, it's very much, if you haven't played with Nextcloud, we did a Nextcloud install a couple of years ago on Drama, where it's like Box or the other box that I use all the time, whose name escapes me. You know what I'm talking about. Image, a photo and video backer upper. Home Assistant, there's a couple different flavors in here that works with a lot of standard IoTs. Hey, you want to set up a Pi hole? We've done Pi hole episodes. It's already set up, or it's already ready to go. Click the button. Lots of home people do Bitcoin mining. So there's a lot of Bitcoin-y stuff in here. I don't speak it, I don't understand it very well, so I didn't dive into it well. If you're streaming, we've done make your own Plex server. You don't have to know how to install a Plex server and configure it. It's all here. Sonar, a newsgroup reader and BitTorrent client. Jellyfin, another media server. Transmission, another BitTorrent client. So, okay, there's all the basic stuff that's ready to go. And if we click the home button, it always brings us back here. This is their app store. And this, I think, right now, as a 1.0 or 1.1 product, is one of its biggest shortcomings. There's not much stuff here. Maybe there will be. Maybe they'll grow. So we're not going to go into all apps. But you can see they've got them kind of categorized here. So file and productivity. Look, that's all of it. There's nothing hidden here. So there's backups and there's browsers. We see image again. Trillium, that's a shared note taker. That's a cool program. I was going to do a show on that. I may. Crowd host podcast over IP file services. There's Nextcloud again. You get it. You can read all this stuff. There's everything that I found particularly exciting here. Self-host your photo and video library. It's a little different than Image, which is a backup system. Of course, I'm using LibreOffice every day, all day. I've switched all my productivity apps to LibreOffice instead of Microsoft. And if you're doing that along with me, or if you looked at it and said, no, I'm not happy with that, I'm much happier with native Microsoft apps, fine. But Libre doesn't make native Microsoft file formats. You can export a Word 07 document, and that's as new as it gets. But every single thing that Libre makes, there's an online converter for it for current Microsoft Word products. Web app for your ebooks. What else we got up here? Bitcoin, I'm not going through that. Finance apps, not much. Little more going on in media and streaming apps. So LiDAR, Sonar, but made for music, as opposed to Sonar, which is made for ebooks. And Radar, and you get the idea. Jellyfin's here. MeTube, it's a video scraper for YouTube. Very practical for a lot of people. There's Real Sonar, PVR for News Group. Bazaar, manage and download subtitles for Sonar and Radar. Hey, how about a searcher for Jellyfin user? A lot of people don't like the native searcher in Jellyfin. What else? Networking. This is physical networking, things you do online. So Pi-hole, and how about your own Cloudflare tunnel? We talk about a lot of different tunnels in this show, but we don't talk much about Cloudflare tunnel because it can be a little complicated. Click. Done. You've got a virtual private tunnel, a VPT, to your home from anywhere online. Torrent servers, torrent clients, network scanners, watchers. Ramina is a great screen and file sharing tool. You have to know that for Linux Plus and for Red Hat certification. Google search. I didn't play with that. Social media, all of your social media links, and some Linux-specific ones. So if you want to host your own social media platform, cool. Home automation, ESP Home, Home Bridge, Node-RED. It's great for making your own IoT stuff. Home Assistant, Node-RED for Bitcoin. The AI stuff. You do ChatPad, ChatBot, or make your own large language GPT. You use that one. And developer tools, Portainer instead of Kubernetes or any other. I've done a Portainer episode here. You won't remember it, but it was about a year ago. We were doing Portainer on Rocky on Raspberry. Settings and configurations here, so I can change account names, I can add accounts, I can change the server name in here, change my password. Here's where you shut down, here's where you restart. Here's stats about your machine, and there's another menu where you can get these same stats. So my server is running CPU 96 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 36, very normal for a Pi that's not heavily loaded. It's an 8 gig system, it's only using 500 megs right now. And my storage was I thought I used a 32 gig card there. I don't know. You get the idea. And you can set up two-factor authentication to log into this thing. There's a migration assistant here. Transfer all your apps and data from a Pi to Umbrel Home. There's a good, nice troubleshooter in there. Here's that same monitor thing, except it just shows the 3 basic factoids. And widgets. You have to install apps first, and then every app that they support has a widget that you can put on your home screen. So that, kids, is the Umbrel server. Simple to install, quick to install, and again, once you've installed it, I need to get my head up here. How do I do that? There we go. You access it with any web browser in your home, or install that tunnel, and then you can access it from outside your home, and you are in business. It's an interesting thing. Am I going to give it a rating? Yes, I am. And I don't know quite how to rate it. It is a 1.0 release. And that, to my mind, is evident. It's good, but it's not complete. It's got a lot of growth, a lot more apps I think that it needs. I think there's some features that it needs. Their user menu appears to only support a single user. And maybe that's the case. Maybe you just have one administrator account, and then for each of the apps that you run in there, you set up user accounts for the people in your household, or this might be usable in certain small businesses. I'm not clear on that. And again, that's one of the shortcomings, is that they don't make that very clear. So, I don't know. Scale of 1 to 10, certainly a 7. Somewhere in the 6.5 to 7.5 range. More to go. Again, wish the guys, the gals, the folks from Umbrel could have joined us and enlightened us. But another day, another time. All right, let's see what you guys had to talk about whilst we were doing all that, and then we shall wind things up. Is this basically a VM? It is. Oh, you can run it in a VM, of course. You can run it on bare metal x86. AMD, you can run it in a VM on x86 AMD. It's a neat product. It's an interesting thing. The way I looked at this, I think, after I played with it for a while, is maybe they'll succeed. Maybe they won't. But if they don't, they have blazed some new trails. They're not the only ones that have a web-based management interface, but theirs is pretty good. I like it. Goodness gracious. I have to refresh a screen that shouldn't impact you, but it's going to make me disappear for a second, or make you know disappear for a second. If they don't succeed, they've blazed a trail I believe that others will follow and improve on. Hopefully they can improve on it themselves. You like the UI. I do too. I think it's okay. And, of course, there's changeable backgrounds and wallpapers and things like that. Umbrel OS, built on Debian. Besides the low-level APIs, it features two main components. Umbrel D, the user interface. Umbrel D powered by Node.js. And the user interface is built with React, which makes a lot of sense. That looks like React. And the cool thing about React is every major browser works with React. That's the interactive aspect and the graphical aspect of it. You're interested. Okay, good. I think you should try it. You want a Raspberry Pi. It's a 3, I think. I don't think... Only 2 people won 4. Maybe you were one of them. Scott got one. I don't remember who got the other one. That's fairly high. What 6 to 7 rating? You think I'm giving it a little too good a rating? Maybe. I haven't played with it for weeks. I played with it for a couple hours. Hey, well, that's show, as ever and always. It was fun. I don't know what next week's show is going to be, but I know that I'm in town all week. I don't have any major travel commitments. I traveled like mad all day yesterday working on hands-on trainer, getting supplies and stuff and meetings, and we are having some kind of fun with this thing, I got to tell you. Hey, well, all right, I'm going to close it up here. As ever and always, I wish you... Oh, wait a minute. I wanted to do something here. I've made a change. There we go. It would be smoother if I had it all set and ready to go. All right. And because of the way that works, I have to do it this way. Fine. So, I wish you a great rest of the week. Take care of each other. Take serious steps to stay healthy. And if at all possible, call or visit your parents. And, of course, never forget, technology is great, but you and I are the greatest resources we have. So with that, good night. See you next week on ADRAMADA and on the other platforms I'm on. Until then, remember, how you do anything is how you do everything. Keep up, orc, ah. Come on, mouse. I was all ready to do that smoothly. Later, guys.